Great. We are live. Good morning and welcome back to another edition of Studio C70 for the Spring 2023 Municipal Primary. And today we're very excited to welcome Rue Landau, civil rights attorney and candidate for a Democratic slot for City Council at large. And Ms. Landau will be interviewed by Carlin Crawley, the Executive Director of Civic and Community Engagement for the Greater Philadelphia YMCA, as well as one of C70's Buckles Fellows. And without further ado, I will turn things over to Carlin to get started.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the introduction. And Rue, before we get started, could you actually just share a little bit about your personal background and how that has been influencing your run for City Council?
Yes, absolutely. So I started my career as doing a lot of organizing and activist work. And then I went to law school. So I was on the front lines, ACT UP, Kensington Welfare Rights Union, created a group called WHAM, the Women's Health Action and Mobilization. And then I went to law school and started to work at Community Legal Services, where I represented thousands of low-income tenants, trying to keep them in safe, affordable, and quality housing. Occasionally fighting the big entities like the Philadelphia Housing Authority, L&I, and doing the best we can to bring some sort of justice to what was, an ongoing affordable housing crisis here in Philadelphia. I was then appointed by then Mayor Nutter and reappointed by Mayor Kenny to run the city's Commission on Human Relations and the Fair Housing Commission. So that's the city's civil rights enforcement agency and housing enforcement agencies, where just for the audience, you can't discriminate against people in employment, housing, or places of public accommodations in Philadelphia on over like 16 protected categories: like race, religion, sexual orientation, gender identity, and many other categories as well.
Absolutely. Can you share a little bit, was it something in your upbringing or something that you experienced that first, initiated your interest in the work?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. So I'm Jewish, and there's a theme, a term that we grow up with, which is tikkun olam, and it means to heal the world. And that was a strong presence in my household when I was younger, that everybody has to do their part in doing something to heal the world. And the older I got, I saw how much our world needed healing, and especially our lovely Philadelphia, which is facing so many challenges right now, that I have spent my entire career fighting for social justice and equity, and doing hopefully my part. In fact, hopefully my part and more to do my part to heal the world.
Absolutely. I love that. And so how do you balance, your personal beliefs with your policy positions?
That's an excellent question. It's like I see so many inequities in Philadelphia, and this is, we are the poorest large city in America, and to me, there's not much balance. I find going to law school for me was very intentional. I wanted to get the extra education, but I also wanted to get kind of that license and that training to take my work to the next level. And I feel like I've done it. I really, to me, we have to lift all of us up in order for all of us to thrive. And, you can have a billionaire in Philadelphia, and I believe that billionaire's life is better when we are lifting up our poorest Philadelphians. And without a doubt, our city is better, right? Because with the challenges that we're seeing today, there are many, many investments we can make into our people, into our communities, into our young people, into our neighborhoods that actually offset a lot of the issues that the city is facing as a whole. So that millionaire should be as invested as the person who really has not been lifted up and has been looked over for so many years.
That's actually a good segue into my next question, which is, what role do you see city council playing in kind of evening out some of those inequities that you mentioned?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of them. And, the great news for me in my career is that I've been a coalition builder forever. It's almost one of my superpowers. I am able to bring people together across differences, folks who have absolutely nothing in common from their backgrounds. And to be honest, when I was overseeing the Commission on Human Relations, I often brought together people who were absolutely adverse to each other, whether it was, folks who were misunderstanding new immigrants or refugees that were coming to their neighborhoods, whether they were just outright racist. I was able to bring people together to come to a greater understanding that we have more in common than we have difference.
Right.
And build bridges and make stronger communities. So one of the things that I have been focused on and been talking to people about throughout the city is that we have, the challenges are clear right now. The question is, how are we going to tackle them? And I believe that we have been working in so many silos for so many years that one of the things that has to happen is that we need to come together and all focus on some of the issues together. So my goal is to get council to jointly address, decide these are the three big buckets of things that we have to talk about, these three themes, and let's go tackle them together. Let's put all of our efforts and our energy into, community safety, affordable housing, and investing in our neighborhoods. And what can we do when we know that these are the goals, and what steps do we need to take them? So I'm hoping between bringing together different parts of Philadelphia, whether it's the tough times, and I've been called in from some really, really tough times of conflict between people who are so different from each other. But I've also been brought in on a proactive way. And that's what I want to do. I want to work as much as possible proactively, bringing our city together, having people get to know each other so we could just be stronger in the end.
Thank you. I wanted to switch gears a little bit and talk to some of your policy positions. How would you address the crisis impacting young people in Philadelphia? Those could include unemployment, gun violence, education.
All of them. I cannot wait to get started on this. I'm a parent of a public school student. My son is a freshman at Central. Have often through my professional career been working with the schools, but it is different when you have skin in the game too. When your kid is involved in the school district of Philadelphia, and you get to see all of the things that it offers and all of the deficiencies that are there as well. I want to invest in our schools. I couldn't be happier about the most recent Commonwealth Court decision that will finally start a fair funding formula for our schools. So Philadelphia schools can start thriving like our suburban neighborhoods can. I want to also make sure that we're funding our city schools properly with our city money. But then, we also need to fund our libraries and our rec centers and all of our community spaces. If your kid's not into sports, arts, or is a bookworm, there's often no place for them to go and nothing for them to do. And I want to start transforming our spaces to make them more accessible and available and adding more resources there so people can do things like maybe take a woodworking class at a rec center and have that be sponsored also by the Carpenters Union, who can start seeing who's really good at this, who wants to do this, who wants to go into the union after school. We have so many entities that are dying for our students. I've been talking to the unions. They want a pipeline of our young people to go to their unions, and we just have to help make these connections bigger and stronger. We've seen things like the fashion district now say, no one can come here after 2:00. My son hangs out at the fashion district. It's closing another door for our young people to go to. It's a mall. Kids go to the mall, right? This is, we need to figure out ways to expand where our young people are going, not close doors, because we are where we are right now in Philadelphia because we have taken away opportunities. And the disinvestment that we've done has also been disproportionate in communities of color, our Black and brown communities in particular, who have been mostly affected. We've got to turn it around with the same intention that we've disinvested in the years. We must reinvest with that absolute same intention. So I'm all about it. I want to lift up all of our young people, give them all the opportunities in the world, and help to make connections so they can get more mentors, get more internship opportunities, get their foot in the door, and really, meet the folks who are going to employ them and help set Philadelphia back on the path of where we are. I had a recent opportunity to hang out with the young people, a whole lot of them at 440 North Broad when they were doing the Youth Alliance work. And, our young people are brilliant and beautiful, and we need to lift them up and give them more opportunities.
You mentioned divestment earlier, and I kind of wanted to ask a question centering around gentrification. Obviously, we need, cities need money to run. So we do have to reinvigorate the tax base. How do you plan to do that without making neighborhoods unaffordable for existing residents?
That is a great question and a really important question because the balance is so incredibly hard. I have some ideas of bills that we can do to make sure that we are not pricing out the folks who've lived in neighborhoods forever. But this is, I think, the most important balance that we have for our neighborhoods. While we reinvest, communities start to grow and get stronger. Different people move in, new people move in, and the folks who've been there forever are getting priced out. And we have to stop that part. We have to stop that part for two reasons. One, and I did this work when I did affordable housing work with the Housing Authority for years. The Housing Authority would allow their developments to crumble. There were vacancies. There were tremendous structural problems with the places, and they let people live like that for 20 years. Until they got a huge amount of money from the federal government and then revitalized it, and half the people couldn't stay, and it pushed out so many neighbors. One, we can't let people live like that because that's wrong. Nobody should have to live in those conditions. And then two, when the reinvestment happens, we have to do everything we possibly can to make sure that people can stay in their neighborhoods. I have a couple legislative ideas for this, but this is an issue that has to be across the board, and we have to all hands on deck, but really letting homeowners know the value of their homes, helping them with the new whole homes repairs, the law that was passed in the state that will give homeowners enough money to fix up their houses without them taking out predatory loans, and ways in which we can incentivize owners who have been renting to people for a long time. Low-income renters should be able to stay in the community without having to face tax, the offset, like the pass down of the tax hikes. So there's ways to do it, but it's got to be intentional.
The last policy question I want to ask about is climate change. And do you have any policies that you are considering so far to combat climate change in the city?
Yeah, I've been this has been a new I was an environmental activist in college, and then moved on to housing and other things, and some of that slipped off. So I've had a new re-education on the climate issues, and they're huge. And again, having a son who's in high school and bringing home his own ideas too have been really helpful for this as well. I am 100% for, our municipal Green New Deal. I want us to see climate and the environment and reversing what we've done in every aspect of building and growth and change that we're doing for the city of Philadelphia. Growth and change is good. But we've got to do it in a responsible way. We've got to do it in a way where we are protecting the next generation and protecting ourselves. I have asthma, and I think, what is it? 1 in 4 people in the city have asthma. We can fix this. We can reverse this, and we've got to do it in a an intentional way that also includes great jobs with great benefits, and makes this kind of the norm, right? I've been talking a lot on the trail about how we have to normalize certain things. And if building in a green way and fixing our neighborhoods in a way that adds more trees and green space, whatever, is just the norm, it's not going to be this strange issue or this one-off issue that we're doing. It's got to be normalized. And by the way, I want to go back to one thing I was talking about with the young people for a second, is that we talked about like how to help with crime in the city. One, these are great jobs for people to have. We want people to get into construction and helping grow and plan our city in a green way. But second of all, I forgot to add that I really would like to see conflict resolution and de-escalation not just trained, but like normalized in our schools, right? So every single adult and every kid has all the tools in the toolbox they need from kindergarten until 12th grade, where they have other ways in which to resolve conflicts. And this is an assembly. This isn't a video that they watch. These are ways in which we can normalize ways we interact with each other. So for a lot of what I'm saying right now, I think some of this is just changing our mindset and changing our investments. And for me, investing in a future that is green and safer for us and better for us, and again, doesn't disproportionately harm our communities of color and our lower income communities, we can get Philadelphia back on the right track, and we can make sure that we've got green, structural, environmental plans for the future. But I'm all in.
And so as we come towards the end of our interview today, what do you hope Philadelphia looks like in the next 5 and 10 years?
I hope we're thriving, and I think we can do it. We've had a lack of leadership in City Hall for a little bit now, and we also have a lot of vacancies that we need to fill. We need to fill our vacancies with our staffing in the city of Philadelphia, with our elected officials and whatnot. And for me, this is the city answer, and then this trickles out to the human answer too, right? That so much of what people are saying throughout the city is that even basic city services are not working right now. We have to revitalize the way we're hiring in the city. We have to jazz it up again. These are great jobs, even for high school graduates, for college graduates. Let's get them in there. We need you. I want everybody rolling up their sleeves and taking their part right now. And some of this is hiring and for a job, and for other people, it could just be volunteering in your neighborhood. We have challenges that we're facing, but we can right the ship, and we can all do it together. So I see a city we've got a whole lot of young people taking leadership roles. It is very multicultural. It is very national and international. It's a destination city, and it's a place where people can live and thrive. And to me, that is where I am concerned that we will price people out of Philadelphia. I don't want to be in New York. I don't want to be a San Fran or any of these other places where folks who have really invested so much in Philly can't live here. We've got to keep that balance where folks can live here, and we can be the place where everyone wants to be, because we know we have great things with it, our food scene and our art scene and our teams and whatnot. People love Philly, and I will, without a doubt, hear that everywhere we are, no matter how down people are feeling about it. People love our city. We want to right the ship. We want to really move on in a different direction, and people are hungry for it. So let's get the right mayor in there and the right council in there, and I think that we're on our road to recovery.
Absolutely. So say you're elected, your first term, what do you plan to do to actualize the vision you just talked about?
I've got some initial bills that I want to put out immediately. But I want to, some of what we have to do is low hanging fruit. Look, let's just be honest. Public safety is the number one thing on people's minds, right? We know things. We know the 57 blocks where there's the most shootings. We also know that investing in cleaning and greening neighborhoods reduces crime by 13 to 30%. Okay, well, let's do that. Let's do that right away. I don't know why we haven't done that. Let's make sure that we can do all of the easy things first. Let's do the low-hanging fruit, and then let's come up with goals and plans that we can all get behind. I want to help to tackle the opioid crisis with great recovery programs that are supportive and get people into housing and get people on the way to healing. I want to help heal our communities. We can do so much of this, but we got to do it together. This is not just one council person's issue or one mayor's issue. Collectively, we can make it happen. So between public safety, neighborhood investments, and affordable housing, I am all in. I've got some of the plans already written and I'm working on the others, but we'll build the coalitions that we need to make these things a reality.
All right, and final question for those listening who are on the fence, why should they come out and vote for you?
Oh, well, that is a great one. Because I am, I really have the vision, the track record, and the relationships to get things done and to get started on day one, you know, from working, being at the Commission on Human Relations and the Fair Housing Commission. I know what it's like on the inside of city government, and I know what it's like because I've worked with all of the council people and the mayors already. I will build the bridges even on the inside and the outside. I have been endorsed by the Democratic City Committee. I was the only non-incumbent endorsed by the Democratic City Committee. I've also been endorsed by the Working Families Party and Reclaim and a whole host of progressive groups and lots of unions and groups in between, from Unite Here to even the Temple College Dems. I've brought together a coalition of endorsements that is pretty reflective of what I want to do and the work that I can do in the city of Philadelphia, you know, to fix everything from our, quality of life issues to our much larger issues as well. I also will be, if elected, I will be our first openly LGBTQ council person ever. So we're going to make history in Philadelphia. I've raised a whole lot of money, got a lot of volunteers on my side. I'm running a great campaign as it is, and would appreciate anybody, all of you, voting for Rue Landau for city council at large, because we're going to make history. And I promise you, I will always have an open door policy and can't wait to get the input of everybody in Philadelphia so we can get our ideas moving and make Philadelphia the greatest place that we know that it is.
Well, Ruth, thank you so much for spending time with us today. This was an amazing interview. How can folks stay in touch with you via social media?
Excellent. RueForPhilly.com. We're also on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, but RueForPhilly.com, you will find all of it. Thank you very much. I appreciate the interview, and thanks so much for giving me the time.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Rue and Carlin. Just a couple reminders for those watching. The deadline to register to vote in the primary is May 1st, so make sure you get on that. And make sure to check out 70's interactive voter guide and ballot tool if you want to get more informed before you vote. That's at ballot.70.org. You can also check out all of our resources on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you so much. And